So now let's switch gears. We're moving on to our second recipe, the Energy Boosting Halva. And you know, to be honest, it's a very traditional Indian recipe. And Ray, who was talking to me for the class, he said, Lavina, what have you grown up eating that you want to share with our group here? And I really had to think about it. And this halva, halva is an Indian word for just like a dish with flour and sugar and some fat, is something that when I'm happy, I want to eat it. When I'm sad, it lifts my spirits up. When I'm not feeling too well, I would tell my mom, can you make me some halva? And you know, when you're at home, you have the luxuries to do that. I just buy this brand. It's like an Amul brand, but there are many, many brands. I know Trader Joe's has its own brand of, it's called clarified butter or ghee. We'll keep this up front as well. We have here our step number 1. So we have water. And we want to dissolve the sugar first so that there are no sugar granules. And here I'm using a combination of white sugar and date paste. Again, dates is like maple syrup with a low glycemic index, so we want to try and stay healthy. If you don't want to go through the trouble of blending dates, just use all white sugar. That's totally fine. And if you want to avoid white sugar altogether, use all date paste, so you can play around with it. So to this, just for a touch of flavor, I am going to add saffron. Anybody used saffron? I know we're using some different ingredients. Okay, great to see some hands, awesome. Love saffron, another very popular Middle Eastern or Moroccan spice. Just a touch of it will increase the flavors and add another dimension. People use it in warm milks or teas. So you can see the water is almost boiling and the sugar has started to dissolve. All right, so now that we have this, we'll move on to step number 2. We'll use another pan. All right, so we'll turn this back on. And this time a little lower, so we don't want it too high. And we'll add our ghee or clarified butter to the pan. And we'll wait for that just to melt a teeny tiny bit before adding our flour. Now for the flour, it says whole wheat. But if you're gluten-free, use a gluten-free blend. Make it your own. And once you make it, and you'll taste it, it has a very creamy texture. It's very filling as well because of the flour, of course, and the ghee. All right, so the ghee is almost melted. And now to this, we'll add our flour. And we will cook it. The key about this recipe is that the more love you put into it, the better it tastes. We have to cook the flour in the ghee very gently, and this process can take up to 15 minutes even. So we don't want the heat to be too high that it would burn, but the color will start changing. So right now it's almost like this light brown color, but as you cook it over 10-15 minutes, it will have like a deeper brown to it. So I think it's great that Arlene set us up with a meditation because now we're not in too much of a rush, we're fine, we're patient. And you can start to smell it, right? You'll start to smell the ghee, which is great. We stick to like a ratio of the ghee. You'll notice that there's a ratio of the ghee, the water, the sugar, the flour. But if you want to start off with a little less, feel free to do that, and then you can add more, and the same with sugar. So again, we want to keep stirring this very gently because this burns very fast. But in the interest of time, I did this earlier where I cooked it for a good 15 minutes. So we'll actually use a different pan, which I used earlier. Do you want to give me that pan? Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. So can you see the difference in a color? This is like a deep brown, whereas the other one that we started off with is almost like a blonde-ish brown, like a lighter brown. So the color will of course change as the flour starts to cook. So let's turn this back on. And you've seen like the ghee has started to solidify again, so we'll wait till it melts. So with the garnish, we are sticking to just some cashews because that's what we had in our pantry. but feel free to either omit it if you think it will be too rich or add anything else to it. All right, so the ghee has melted. And now is the fun part. So what we have here is some date paste and our water from earlier. So I am adding, per your recipe, you'll add your date paste into this. And if you like things a little less sweet, go easy on the water. Taste it. You can always add some more. The consistency won't go off at all. And now we'll add our saffron and our sweet water here. And in the beginning, it may look like, oh my God, what did I do? This is too much water. But the flour will pick it up. All right, so we'll gently cook it, being careful not to burn. And you can see, like, can you see that? You can see it's like all starting to come together, like really nicely. So again, we're just playing with this gently. All right, that's looking good. Only 10 minutes between you and the samples. The countdown has begun. You know what? Actually, I don't want to raise everyone's expectations. So just be open-minded and taste it. And even if you don't like it, I still want you to come and tell me that. I don't want to just like set myself up for everybody saying, no, it wasn't that good. So just you taste it and tell me what it's like. We just have a simple bowl here. I want to be careful because this is pretty warm. Another thing you'll notice is as you start to cook it, the ghee will almost surface from the sides. So I don't know if you can see it in the pan, but you'll know when it's cooked, when the ghee, you see like almost like a shimmer around it. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So we were just going to plate it. All right, let's see. Can you see that? Yeah, great. So I just have, again, some chopped nuts. Typically, a halva is served on happy occasions. If you see a halva and your family's there, a big family gathering, everybody, even though it's the simplest dessert to make, it's so traditional, but it just brings everyone together. So another thing you can do is before you serve is just do a quick taste. And if you think, you know what, I've been pretty good this week, I could do with some extra sugar in my halva, add some of that syrup or add another tablespoon of date paste. So when you're done, you like the taste of it.